Hi, I'm Ed Amorosa from Tag Cyber, and I'm here with my friend Mariano Nunez, who is the CEO and co-founder of a very cool cybersecurity company called Onapsis. Welcome.
Hi, Ed. How are you?
It's
Thanks
nice
for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad you came to visit.
Of course, my
I'm looking forward to hearing about it. But first, just in a sentence or two, tell us about Onapsis, and then I want to hear a little bit about how you got into this.
Yeah, Onapsis is a cybersecurity company focused on protecting the world's business-critical applications. So think about ERP systems, business intelligence, supply chain, HR platforms, PLM solutions. So really the businesses and the applications that run the world's backbone, like from a financial perspective. So we basically have a software solution that automates the security controls and compliance controls for these applications.
Yeah. So we're going to dig into that because that's it. I know there's a lot of people watching probably dealing with SAP or other business apps. Tell us about yourself. You have an interesting story how you kind of got into this.
Yeah, I got into cybersecurity when I was very young. I was 12. I fell in love with a movie called Hackers. Read a book actually here in New York. There was a guy selling books at the corner. I saw the Maximum Security book, and I begged my mom actually to buy me the book. It was like 840 pages or something like that.
Huge book.
Yeah, huge
I still have a first edition.
Yeah, exactly. It talks about like all the Unix type of security at that time, like air login and RxEx and things like that, really old school stuff. And I fell in love with that. So I started getting my toes into cyber, and I always wanted to have my own company. So when I was about 18, I started working professionally in cybersecurity. So doing penetration testing, vulnerability research, basically all the ethical hacking fun things. And I was really by accident. I ran into an SAP business application at one of our customers. And with another colleague, I started just like playing with the application, trying to find the security weaknesses as we would do with any other system. And very surprisingly, we found a set of significant issues affecting what was not the custom code of that specific customer organization, but really the underlying SAP framework at that time, which I later learned that was called NetWeaver. So I started doing a bit more research into that. I took a course on SAP administration and basis just to I really wanted to understand the system, right? I knew I could continue as a researcher to find kind of the low-hanging fruits and the I'll say easy security issues, but you really need to understand the system to find and to really be able to secure it and find the potential threats. So I took this training on how to basically manage SAP implementations. And then I decided to focus on a specific component once I understood the architecture that was called the RFC protocol in SAP, which is basically the underlying protocol that manages all the communications between SAP systems and with external applications. So fast forward, I submitted that research and got invited to present it at Black Hat in 2007 in Europe, which became my first Black Hat as an attendee and speaking at the same time, which was a dream kind of come true at that age. So yeah, that's how I got into into this field.
How easy was it to get information about SAP? Because it's not an open system.
No,
right?
it's not, and I think that's also very common with other proprietary business applications. It's very there was very little cybersecurity documentation or information available in the open domain. So you basically had to rely on customers allowing you to, or organizations allowing you to give you access to a development system or to a test system. Of course, you cannot play with a production environment.
No.
But
I mean, I guess you could.
Yeah, but probably not a wise idea if you want the company to continue running. So we had some friends that enabled us to just have access to these development systems, and that's how we started. But then a lot of reading, a lot of kind of trying to understand architectures and things at home and at customers, that it's really, really complex.
I have to ask you, I want to hear technology, but I have to ask, how does an 18-year-old start a company? Like, do you have some rich uncle or something?
No, yeah.
What the heck
Unfortunately
did you do?
not, yeah.
How did you rent a room and just start?
We ended up starting we started in Argentina, in Buenos Aires.
That's where you grew up?
Yeah, I grew up in Buenos Aires. And really the Silicon Valley garage version of that was my co-founder's mom's house, really. So his mother's house. So we started in his apartment. We ended up being, I think, up to 9 people in that.
You bought
bedroom.
some computers.
Very basic computers, very low computing power. We didn't pay ourselves for a year. We were just developing the product and trying to really get it to the market. And I think we were fortunate. We probably because of all these presentations that Black had and the thought leadership we were doing, the research we were putting out, there was a set of companies that already, kind of the early adopters already knew they had this problem. They already very quickly understood what these business applications meant for them. And that we were at that time the only people, really the only researchers focusing on it. So we released the product in September 2010, and in October we got the first customer. It ended up being one of the largest defense organizations in the planet. Where we were still 4 guys in a garage in Argentina.
Were you speaking English? Were you speaking what?
A bit less. I mean, a bit more broken than this one. So no, we didn't have.
Such a great story.
Yeah, we didn't have sales guys. We didn't have a marketing team. It was really all word of mouth. And yeah, within 6 months we had, I would say, 4 Fortune 100 companies. We're still in that same bedroom from Argentina. So very quickly, we had to learn how to scale from nothing. It was our first startup as well. So we had to learn how to go from nothing to sell to like some Fortune 100 companies. And again, focus on the most critical applications that they have. So it wasn't that we were playing with a random system in the corner, right? So it was quite an experience. I think like looking back, we put so much emphasis in doing a good job for those early customers that when the next customers would come or prospects, they would be like, how many are you guys? How much revenue? So they would be qualifying us, but we could say, yeah, we're still 5 guys here in Argentina, but you can speak with so-and-so, we can speak with so-and-so, you can speak with so-and-so, and those references really help us continue to grow.
Now let's talk about business critical applications. We'll start with SAP. When you think about SAP Security, when I think about it, a whole bunch of different things come to mind, like users somehow misusing credentials or being sloppy, or administrators setting it up improperly, or the company making mistakes, vulnerabilities embedded. Are those kind of the categories, or are there others? Do you work in all those areas?
That was basically what ERP, SAP, or business application security was when we started. It was, how do I make sure that my users have the right roles and profiles, and they can only do what they should be able to do. And
properly trained, and they know what they're doing.
And the typical example of someone that can create a vendor is not able to create a purchase order, right? Because otherwise they would pay themselves. So this was 99% driven by SOX. When SOX came out, it was like the IT general controls really pushed a lot of companies to put this level of controls in place. So the GRC, segregation of duties type of controls, were an equivalent or a synonym to business application security.
So Sarbanes-Oxley was good for business.
At that point in time, it was. This is like 2009, so it was way before we started. So it became a challenge for us because it's not that they were just neglecting the security of the systems. They really believed they had an ERP security team, they had these solutions, controls, processes. The problem is that that wasn't looking at the cybersecurity aspects. For example, how an attacker, insider or an outsider, can break into the systems even without having a user, right? So what we discovered was that there were a lot of security configurations, security issues, and security controls that, if they were not properly implemented, someone can, for example, create a vendor and create a purchase order even without having a valid user in the system. So bypassing all of those segregation of duties controls. So it was a little bit of a paradigm change. And we had to really re-educate a lot of the market and to understand that it was not only about segregation of duty controls, it was way bigger than that. The problem is way bigger than that.
Now, what's the process when vulnerabilities are found by you or others to deal with it, to notify SAP users, even the government, like DHS, I think is part of it. Take me through that whole ecosystem and process. How does that work?
Yeah, so we always follow what is called coordinated disclosure from day one. And whether we found issues and security 0 days in SAP, in Oracle, in Microsoft, in many different vendors, and we always fundamentally believe that you have to let the vendor know, first of all, because I don't think it's fair to basically have only your customers and people that are using your products be protected. So So we basically always report the issues to the findings to the vendor. And then the vendor will start working on that, eventually release a security patch, and every customer in the planet can be secured if they implement it. What we do from a, I'll say, value add perspective to our customers is that in some cases it may take the vendor 2 years to come up with a patch, or 18 months or a year. And we know there is a latent threat against all customers at that time, right? So what we do, if it's technically possible, we deploy protection signatures or protection capabilities through our software. So our customers have that protection from day one. And we also reach out to all our customers when these critical things happen, so that if maybe there is not a patch you can apply or you cannot detect it, there is maybe a workaround. You can maybe disable that component if you're not using it, so you're not exposed. And what happens when there's a really critical one, for example, like the U.S. government and other governments in the globe will get involved and would also release their own critical alerts to the market. I think and that's because it's given the criticality of the applications we're dealing with, right? It really runs the world's economy. So governments and the private sector are relying on these applications to run.
Yeah, and that happens from time to time, right? The DHS has gotten involved in this.
Absolutely, yeah. That happened already 3 times. In 2016, it was the first alert from the DHS.
What do they call their alerts?
In this case, they call it a technical activity alert.
Technical activity alert,
yeah.
Right. And those are published on the internet.
Sorry, it's not technical activity actually.
Report or something?
They call it like a technical alert, as part of the US CERT. And in this case, they're published in the internet, they distribute that publicly and through the ISACs.
Got it.
And every government agency, like both domestic and internationally. So the first one was in 2016 when we detected a foreign nation that was exploiting over 30 companies through, in that case, SAP-specific vulnerabilities. So in that case, there were all companies that were over 10 billion in revenue, so large organizations in the US, in Europe, in Asia, that had internet-facing SAP applications that were not properly secure. And we saw these indicators in a forum, in a dark web forum, where they were basically talking about their exploitations that they've successfully done against these systems. So that was 2016. 2018, there was a new alert from DHS talking about the increase in the threat against business applications, both SAP and Oracle. And very recently, in May of this year, 2019, it was the third one. That is basically DHS released an alert, and other certs in the globe released an alert based on new exploits affecting, in this case again, SAP applications that were publicly released. And that would basically exploit a pretty old, like a 10-year-old vulnerability, a misconfiguration in SAP systems. That again, every customer had the best practices and SAP had released guidance on how to fix it. But in our research, we find that 90% of organizations were still exposed. So they put out a critical alert, like really urging organizations to go and fix that.
You know, let's generalize a little bit. I want to pay you a couple of compliments here. So you've been kind enough to share with me how you guys work. I've visited your team and loved it. And my observation is you guys really dig in and learn the thing you're securing. And I think that's rare in our industry, right? There's a lot of solutions that cut thinly across a lot of different things. You guys go deep in an area, and I admire that. I think that, tell me if I'm saying this right, but I think to secure something, it'd be a good idea to understand how it works.
Should, right? Yeah. Yes.
And you do.
Yeah.
I think that's admirable.
Thank you. Thanks for that. And actually, I think we take a lot of pride in that. And if you look at what we do, we're in many cases dealing with some of the most complex applications in an IT environment, right? So it's very easy for any company in the planet, any security vendor, to come out and make a claim that they support SAP, Oracle business applications, like some of the SaaS business applications. And it's really hard to actually deliver against that, because if you look at any standard customer, we work mostly with companies over $1 billion in revenue, primarily in North America and Europe. So we have organizations and customers that are running thousands of different SAP and Oracle and business applications. in some cases, the same customer, in many cases, would be using an SAP application that is 20 years old, coexisting with something that is the latest HANA S4 solution, so, and everything in between. And it's the ERP, the CRM, the BI solution, the PLM solution, and everything's interconnected. So it's really, really hard to create a solid software platform that really understands all those permutations, all those possible configurations and states of a system, and gives you as a CISO a really solid risk posture, right? Or really diffuse those cyber risks in real time. So yeah, I fundamentally believe that I think one of the good things of Onapsis, we became really good at that and really understanding complex architectures, complex environments, and really have that R&D machine that can generate new products and new innovation and get them to the market in a very efficient way. So as we were discussing before, I'm not an SAP expert. I ran into SAP by accident. It's not that I was doing SAP for 20 years and I decided to go into the security side. And most of the founding team are the same. So it's really all that DNA about being cybersecurity people that really know how to think about complex environments and be able to productize that in a way that's effective for CISOs, for CIOs and heads of audit, right, mostly.
Well, you've come a long way. I'm curious, what do you see as the next big steps for Onapsis? Where do you see you guys, 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now? Forget 10, maybe that's a little bit far, but what do you sort of dream about?
Yeah, honestly, we only started. This is going to be our 10-year anniversary in 2019. And really, like I would say, 6 years since we really started go-to-market. We spent the first 3 years in Argentina, and then we moved headquarters to Boston in the US and started really ramping up the go-to-market teams. So we've been growing very fast over the last few years. We've kind of, for example, a good instance of that is the Deloitte Fast 500 publication that we basically made the top 10 in cybersecurity, became one of the fastest tech growing companies in North America. So for us, it's been an exciting journey already, and we believe that we're fundamentally about to hit that hockey stick, like I would say second or third hockey stick point. Just based on what we see in the market. We just acquired a company, great company in Germany called Virtual Forge that was really helping us expand like exponentially with
early 2019 you closed.
Early 2019, yeah. We announced it in January 2019, and we were getting a great team of talented people in Germany, 50 minutes away from SAP headquarters. Great intellectual property that we have in our product portfolio. So now we can cover a variety of different use cases, both on-premise and in the cloud. And we have a great customer base now and partner base in Europe, where we're planning to expand aggressively. So it's really that was kind of say the first part of the transformation that we're going through with this rapid expansion. Now we're going to be about 350 employees worldwide. Wow. So we got that global scale, global ability to support our global customers. I mean, for us now, it's really all about the cloud, right? Yeah. So we already support everyone who's moving business applications to infrastructure as a service, hyperscalers. So think about AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. We see a lot of the Fortune 2000 moving those mission critical workloads finally to the cloud and
move from perimeter to cloud.
Exactly, yeah.
And then realize, hey, we need to protect this.
And they need the same visibility or more visibility now that it's exposed and it's running on someone else's data center and environment. So that's been a huge driver for growth for us and that's really automating that visibility and controls from a compliance perspective in the cloud. And the next evolution for us is really continue to expand in the SaaS world. Like if you think about all those SaaS business applications like SuccessFactors, Ariba, Concur, NetSuite, Workday, Salesforce. So it's really all those kind of new breed of business applications that are connected still to this hosted or on-premise environment. So we believe we fundamentally can provide a very unique value proposition to be that single pane of glass for all your business apps, whether they're running on-prem or across to a public cloud or SaaS type of environment. And that's pretty hard to achieve. And having that initial foothold and control of the on-prem or bigger workloads give us that ability to look at the interfaces, to look at cross application, cross on-prem to cloud correlation of not only technical risk but business risk. So we believe it's based on what our customers are telling us, that's the future, and we're already building that with many of them.
That's an enormous opportunity. That's really good. So you go from an apartment to 350 people. God only knows what next, but I have a feeling it's going to be good.
Yeah, that's what we're building for.
Well, you come back and visit with us again and keep us posted on your progress.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for
Well,
having me.
Thanks for stopping. It's so nice
pleasure,
to see you.
Pleasure
Great.
having you.
And we'll see you next time.